Hi, welcome to our world of Serpent's Tongue, which began with just me and my 4 brothers almost 2 years ago, but now has grown to over 11 people, not counting the dozens of artists from around the world who have really helped out by contributing the hundreds of illustrations and digital photography, all to create a new magic experience, a new type of card game, where you get to actually become a spellcaster and experience the power of what that's like.
So we created a game where you cast your incantations out of an actual spell book rather than a randomized deck of cards. And you use an actual functioning language that you must either speak or decode correctly in order to activate those spells. Which gives us a heck of a lot of theme and a really intense experience of being a spellcaster, but also provides a very unique balance to the game because more powerful spells are a lot more difficult to cast. We want it to be very fast, back and forth, and team-based action, where a master may come in with higher level spells that just rip right through your defenses. But if you can keep throwing them up, you might be able to defend your team long enough for them to join together to create a really powerful ritual and counterattack. Something like this. And it's a blast. There's something deeply satisfying about casting spells in Serpent's Tongue. We designed it to be very back and forth action with your allies jumping in at a moment's notice to defend you or augment your spells, transmute them, or redirect attacks, all according to their role and specialization. And there's a lot of different gameplay modes like solo, cooperative, team battles, which you can find out a lot more about on our website, becomemagi.com. I'm going to show you a very general tutorial in a moment, but right now, I'd like to talk to you about where we are in development. Serpent's Tongue is 3 to 4 months out, depending on when you're watching this video, and we need your help to do it. It's a very large game because even though it's ostensibly a trading card game, we designed the core set to include everything you ever need to play the game standalone for years. The Kickstarter rewards themselves have been designed very aggressively, with the core sets and game materials that you'll receive as part of the reward well below wholesale pricing, and really unique, really ultra powerful specializations and incantations that will only ever be available to you, our Kickstarters. Plus, we also are incorporating your name into the story. We want to incorporate every Kickstarter backer eventually into the story and world of Serpent's Tongue as a character. And for our more generous pledgers, we were going to build your name into the cards themselves as of right now at launch. We have about 24 spots left in our cards that are available for you to contribute your name, your ideas, and even your concepts. So we're really looking forward to working with our generous pledgers over the next couple of months while we finish the final touches. So if you've decided to pledge, thank you. We really appreciate your support, and we're really excited to bring Serpent's Tongue to life with your help. I'm going to go into a tutorial in just a moment, and thanks a lot, Kickstarter.
At the heart of the game is the Magi's Codex, which are really high quality, faux leather, hardbound spellbooks. The Codex is filled with hundreds of years of maps and lore and secrets and methodology of the Magi. It also includes master spells, riddles, and clues used in the adventure campaign, as well as the Serpent's Key, which helps new players decode level 1 spells without actually having to memorize them. But its primary function in the game is to hold your incantations. It'll also hold any special rights you're carrying, your specialization, and artifacts. Incantations are printed on giant 4x6 full-color heavy cards, and there are hundreds to build your codex out of. Magi flip through their codex until they find the incantation they wish to cast. It's pulled out of the codex and either held upright in front of them or placed in the casting stand with the activated side towards you. The back side of the card faces towards your opponents or the player narrating that encounter and shows the Serpent's Tongue that you must speak in order to cast that spell. If you say the wrong words, it's miscast, and it will be discarded. On miscasts, all other players, opponents, and allies, but not you, receive its resonance value. Resonance is an advanced gameplay concept that you can find out more about in our advanced videos, but very quick background. Resonance represents the exhilarating infusion of power that Magi experience whenever they successfully speak Serpent's tongue, or that's diffused into all the magi around them when they summon that power but fail to cast it correctly. It's used in the game to unlock higher levels of your specialization, activate some of the artifacts, and reattune incantations from the discard pile back into your codex. But you are a well-trained magi, and this is a simple level 1 spell, so we will assume you cast it correctly. So you collect its resonance and place it in front of your target, opponent 1. Actually, that's so generic. I think we can do better than opponent 1. Let's make your target Tobias Grinshaw, a 17th century medicist working for the Catholica. The Catholica is one of the many secret factions of Serpent's Tongue and represents an inner sanctum of magi operating behind the veneer of the Catholic Church for centuries. So you cast Lesser Death Touch on Tobias, but let's say he was able to get a shield up in time before it impacts. Setting up defenses and getting around them is a core concept of Serpent's Tongue, so let's take a look at it. This shield, Lesser Binding of Etheric Protection, blocks several of the spheres of reality. Let's take a look at what that means. The world of Serpent's Tongue is divided into 2 planes of existence, physical and etheric, and as a general rule you need to use physical defenses to block physical attacks, and the same thing for etheric. Each domain is subdivided into 3 spheres of reality. The etheric plane has the spheres of soul, mind, and quantum, while the physical plane consists of bio, force, and matter. Incantations sometimes affect an entire plane of existence, and sometimes just 1 or 2 spheres of reality. Lesser Binding of Etheric Protection blocks the entire etheric plane, mind, soul, and quantum. Since your Lesser Death Touch is sourced from the sphere of soul, it's definitively blocked by his Lesser Binding. So it has no direct impact on Tobias, and it's discarded. If it had a longer duration, it would hang around until next turn and attempt to impact on him again. But since this Lesser Binding is a durability-based shield, it takes durability loss each time it blocks an effect, which is marked by a chip. So there are several tactics you can try here to get past this defense. You could just keep casting etheric spells and slowly batter down the shield's durability. Or you could go around his defense by casting a spell from a different sphere of reality. This flame incantation, for example, is from the physical plane, and so it's not affected by the shield at all, and it lights Tobias Grinshaw right up. Or you can try to outpower the defense by casting a level 2 spell. Higher level spells rip right through lower ones, so Dimensional Exile impacts on Tobias, and it causes a durability loss as well. This is the 3rd point of durability, so his defense is totally destroyed, and he's now wide open until he creates another defense. Dimensional Exile also applies a status condition, so it's turned sideways and placed in front of Tobias to mark that he has been dimensionally phased for 2 turns. This will remain in front of him, and he will count down that duration on his own turn using a 4-sided dice or a duration chip. So as you can see, higher level spells are vastly more powerful than lower ones, but they're also a lot more difficult to cast, as you can see by its fairly complex sigil right here, which I will explain in a moment. This is a key component to Serpent's Tongue's balance. You can always cast more powerful spells, but they'll be a lot more difficult to cast than these apprentice level spells. There is one more important method to power up your incantations without having to memorize these really complex adept and master level spells. You cast the same spell as a ritual, which will make its effective level 1 higher. But each step of the ritual takes an action, so it can take multiple turns before it's completed, and it can be interrupted fairly easily along the way. Your allies, however, can use their action to complete your ritual immediately on the same turn, so teamwork can become essential to setting up or overcoming really tough defenses, and allows a couple of apprentices to take on a master. Finally, let's talk about the Serpent's Key. On the front of each incantation is the written form of Serpent's Tongue, which does not use normal text, but rather geometric symbols to spell out the activation phrase. By comparing this sigil to the Serpent's Key found in your codex, you can decode the activation phrase. In this case, you can follow the voiced points to come up with Al, Rock, Fos, which is the correct cast phrase for Lesser Death Touch. This system allows brand new magi to begin casting incantations right out of the box minutes after setting up. But it will only really work at apprentice levels, because beyond that the sigils become so complex it's very difficult to decode them quickly, and you'll have to master your spells in the traditional sense as a real mage would. Serpent's Tongue is a big game. It has multiple play modes. It has solo adventures, team battles, non-combat competitions, and a 40-hour cooperative adventure. There's a lot more gameplay and backstory available at becomemagi.com.